The most anticipated night in college wrestling has arrived. The championship finals. We are in the middle of America. And one mat is in the middle of the floor here inside the T-Mobile Center. 10 champions will emerge tonight.
Every year, the best college wrestlers in the country step onto the mat, knowing that in just 3 days, their careers, their legacies, and in some cases, their entire futures will be decided. The single most brutal, unforgiving tournament in all of wrestling. For the men who make it here, it's not just another tournament. It's the culmination of years, sometimes decades, of sacrifice, training, and suffering. They've endured brutal weight cuts, early morning practices, and a season of relentless competition just for the chance to wrestle on this stage. But making it here is just the beginning. Over the next 72 hours, these wrestlers will be pushed beyond their limits. They'll fight through exhaustion, pain, and mental warfare. All for a shot at becoming an NCAA champion. In the world of college wrestling, nothing compares to this moment. One loss, and your dreams of a national title could be over. Every move, every second, every tiny mistake is magnified under the brightest lights in front of a roaring crowd of over 20,000 fans. Millions more watch from home as legends are made and careers are shattered. What makes this tournament so brutal isn't just the level of competition. It's the relentless, unforgiving nature of the format. Wrestlers will step onto the mat up to 5 times in 3 days, facing the toughest opponents of their lives, all while battling extreme fatigue and cutting weight between rounds. Even the best wrestlers, national champions, Olympic hopefuls, sometimes don't even place. In this video, we're going to break down exactly why the NCAA Wrestling Championships are considered the hardest tournament in the world. We'll explore the path to qualification, the physical and mental toll of the competition, and the heartbreaking moments that define the careers of some of the greatest wrestlers to ever step on the mat. Welcome to the ultimate test of a wrestler. But before a wrestler even steps onto the mat at the NCAA Championships, he has to survive the grind just to get there. Because qualifying for this tournament isn't easy. In fact, for most, it's harder than they ever imagined. The road to the NCAA Championships begins long before March. It starts in the grueling months of preseason, where college wrestlers push their bodies to the absolute limit. 6 a.m. lifts, hours of drilling, and punishing live wrestling sessions, all before most students have even woken up. Then comes the regular season, a months-long gauntlet of relentless competition where every match matters. Wrestlers don't get to pad their records against easy opponents. Instead, week after week, they battle the best in the country, many of whom they'll face again in March. Injuries pile up, fatigue sets in, but there are no breaks, no time to recover. Just the constant pressure to keep winning. And then there's the weight cut. Unlike other sports, where athletes can eat and recover between competitions, wrestlers are expected to maintain peak performance while shedding pounds in the most unforgiving ways imaginable. That means hours spent sweating in plastic suits, starving themselves just to make weight, then stepping onto the mat with barely any energy to wrestle. And this is just the regular season. Surviving the season is just part of the battle. Before a wrestler can even think about the NCAA Championships, he has to qualify through his conference tournament. And in some conferences, that's harder than placing at nationals. Nowhere is this more true than in the Big Ten, the toughest conference in college wrestling.
It's title time. What they've been working for all year and most of their lives. They've overcome so much, worked so hard. The goals are set. They're ready. We have to be ready. First round, quarters, semis, finals. Are you ready?
It's all here. The Big Ten Championships on the Big Ten Network.
Here, some weight classes are so stacked, that multiple returning All-Americans won't even qualify for NCAAs. That's right, being one of the best wrestlers in the country still might not be enough. And even for those who do qualify, conference tournaments take a toll. By the time the NCAA championships roll around, many wrestlers are already physically and mentally drained. But the real battle is just beginning. Only 33 wrestlers in each weight class make it to the NCAA tournament, but out of those 33, only one will walk away a champion. The rest? Some will fight their way to the podium, others will leave with nothing, and for many, this will be their final tournament. The last time they ever step on the mat. The stakes are as high as they can get. The pressure is relentless. And the next 72 hours will determine everything. After months of relentless competition, after surviving the grind of the college season and the gauntlet of the conference tournament, the best 330 wrestlers in the country arrive at the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships. For some, it's their first time. For others, it's their last shot at glory. But no matter how dominant they were during the season, none of that matters now. Because this is a different level. This is where the pressure is suffocating, the stakes are higher than ever, and the margin for error is razor thin. This is the most brutal bracket in all of wrestling. The tournament follows a double elimination format, meaning that just one loss can end a wrestler's national title dreams. If you lose, you drop to the consolation rounds, where the fight for third place is a brutal war of attrition. And even that road is unforgiving, because in order to place in the top 8 and earn the title of All-American, a wrestler must survive a bloodbath known as the Blood Round. The tournament begins with the first rounds, and unlike high school tournaments, where lower seeds often breeze through their opening matches, there are no easy matches at NCAA ways. The so-called weaker wrestlers? They were state champions, national recruits, and high school legends just a few years ago. And now, they're considered underdogs. That's how deep this tournament is. Even top-seeded wrestlers who dominated all season are one mistake away from being upset by an unseeded competitor who has nothing to lose. By the time the quarterfinals roll around, the tournament has already chewed up and spit out some of the best wrestlers in the country. Now, the matchups are pure chaos. Future Olympians and world-level wrestlers collide, battling for a spot in the semifinals. These matches are often decided by the smallest margins, a single escape, a last-second takedown, a controversial referee's call. And the wrestlers don't have days to recover, they have hours, because the grind doesn't stop. The semifinals? This is where legends are made. The arena is packed with 20,000 screaming fans, and the energy is electric. Some wrestlers crumble under the pressure, others rise to the occasion. And for those who win, they get a chance to wrestle for a national title. For those who lose, their championship dreams are gone, but the fight isn't over yet. If there's one round that defines the brutality of this tournament, it's this one. The Blood Round. The single most painful and unforgiving moment in college wrestling. Why? Because it's simple. Win this match, and you become an All-American. Lose, and you go home with nothing. For seniors, this is where careers end. Some of the toughest wrestlers in the country break down in tears. Years of training, of sacrifice, of dreams, gone in just 7 minutes. Some never recover from this moment. Others use it as fuel. But no matter what, the Blood Round is the moment where the tournament reveals its true nature. This sport is cruel. And then there's the final stage. The NCAA Championship Finals, the biggest moment in a college wrestler's career. Under the bright lights in front of a roaring crowd, 2 warriors step onto the mat for one last battle. The stakes? A national title, a place in history. The nerves are overwhelming. The crowd noise is deafening. Every move is magnified, and every second feels like an eternity. Some wrestlers rise to the occasion and cement their legacy. Others crack under the pressure, watching their dreams slip away in front of millions. And when the final whistle blows, for one wrestler, it's the greatest moment of his life. For the other, it's heartbreak on the biggest stage imaginable. But what makes this tournament truly brutal is that even for the champions, the grind never stops. Because in wrestling, greatness is never guaranteed. You have to earn it every single year. For the champions, their names will be etched in the history books. They'll stand on top of the podium, hearing the roar of the crowd, knowing they conquered one of the hardest tournaments in all of sports. But for everyone else, it's a different story. Some will walk away with an All-American finish, proud but unsatisfied. Others will leave heartbroken, knowing they were just inches away from a lifelong dream. And for the seniors, the ones who fell short, this was their last chance. There's no next year, no rematch, no do-over, just the realization that their time on the mat is over.